in the world's going to join us in a few minutes. Before he gets here, let me tell you what's going on. A crab nebula slammed the Earth with the highest energy gamma rays ever detected. This is a neutron star that exploded in 1054 AD. It was identified by the astronomers that were on the Earth, actually seen with the naked eye. Those waves of energy have just arrived, or just now arriving, and they hit on Monday with the highest energy gamma ray ever detected. Now that's not the same thing. There it is. That's what that's what a neutron star looks like, thousands of light years away, as these waves of energy are still coming. We got hit with the largest one ever on Monday. This is not the 5 waves of energy that's coming from the binary system called Nibiru, which is bringing with it a debris field of asteroids, meteorites, and particles from exploded planets that's going to crash into Jupiter at approximately the date, give or take a little bit, around March 28th, 2021. That's according to NASA scientists. That's according to the little green file that was released by the NASA scientists given to Stephen Ben-Danoon, who gave it to me. That we will fully reveal about 75% of this file in the upcoming conference that's going to be in St. Louis, Missouri. We haven't booked that conference yet, so don't worry, we're working on that. But know that we're going to reveal a ton of stuff. We're bringing in some scientists, some astronomers. We're bringing in Gil Brazard and others. So you just need to understand this is going to be a powerful, powerful realization of what's going on. The heavens are shaking, folks. Jesus said it. I just read it to you in the Word, that it's going to happen. It is happening. And there you're looking at on Monday, the remnants of a neutron star slammed into the Earth. This is known as the Crab Nebula. Deep within the heart of the cloud lies a very powerful, rapidly spinning neutron star. It recently blasted Earth with the highest energy gamma rays ever detected from an astrophysical source. That happened Monday, just before the black moon, Brock. The black moon on Tuesday, which put a super black moon, which put such intense gravitational pull on the Earth that I told you we were going to have an earthquake. I said, look, guys, I can't predict it. I can just tell you that the signs are everywhere, that there's too much pressure. This black moon on on Tuesday, and we're still affecting us today, putting incredible amounts of gravitational pull on the Earth. You add to that this gamma ray from this neutron star that exploded, and then you throw at us these unbelievable amounts of CME solar winds blowing off the sun at an incredible speed of 480 kilometers per second. What? I can show you that. Let's just go see what it is right now. It was 480 about an hour ago. Let's take a peek at this. Yes, it releases plasma. It's 482 right now. It's 482. It released so the sun has these 3 huge gaping holes that released Earth-facing unbelievable amounts of cosmic rays, ultraviolet rays, CMEs, plasma burst. All of this, I can show you right now. It should be on, Brock. It should be on. I got it for you. It's there. You got it? And you'll see here what I'm talking about. 482 kilometers per second. This is incredible. I'll try to pull that up for you. You can see the surface of the sun right there. It's there it is, Brock. There it is. You can see it over to the left-hand side. Those 3 huge corona holes are Earth-facing. You see the holes in the atmosphere of the sun. That's allowing this 482 kilometer per second solar winds go straight at us. It's insane. And then check this out. Oh, by the way, we had 51 fireballs. What? 51 fireballs breaking through the Earth's atmosphere in the last 24 hours. Craziness. And that's going to get even worse. And then we've got asteroids, near Earth objects racing past the Earth. There's more being discovered every few hours now. You can see where we've had some very close ones. Back on July 28th, we had one that missed us by 0.5 lunar distance. You can see we had one on July 29th, just missed us by 0.6 lunar distance. Check this out. We also had another one barely miss us by 1.8 lunar distance on the 29th. On the 30th, we had another close one, kind of close at 2.3 lunar distance. They've just identified a new one. It's going to come by on August 28th. It's going to miss us by 2.7. Guys, I guarantee you there's more that are going to come racing by. We don't know. We could be hit by one before the show is over. They don't always see them sometimes till they even go past us. And then they tell us, they give it a name and tell us there's how close it was. Okay, NASA's doing the best they can. I'm going to be honest with you. They are. They're doing the best they can. There is so much there's so much coming at us now, and Mike Around the World is going to be here in just a few minutes, and he's going to tell you that there's no way they could keep up with it all. And the Planet X, Nibiru, this whole thing is coming at us, guys, at an insane rate. There's no way we're going to be able to keep up with it all. There's just no way to keep up with it all. I want to welcome all 2,300 of you who have joined us live here tonight. Mike Around the World will be joining us in just a few minutes. Let me tell you what else is going on. I told you earthquakes yesterday. 6.6 earthquake from Vanuatu. Now I'm struggling with that for a minute. Forgive me. And also we got hit with a 6.8 today in Chile. So Vanuatu had a 6.6, Chile 6.8. Tsunami warnings were in play. There it is from Chile. You can see the 6.8 hit right there. What? That was huge, massive. But good news is there is some damage down there. It's not real bad. We dodged a bullet. It could have been a massive tsunami. Idaho, look at this. Yellowstone danger zone having earthquakes of 2.7. I'm not going to go through them all, but you can see that 4.3 in Fiji, 4.5 Fiji. Let's just get the bigger ones here in the last 24. 4.9 Russia. There's the 4.9 in the northern mid-Atlantic ridge right there. And then boom. Oh yeah, Colombia had a 4.2 and then boom, Chile, 6.8. Like I said, 6.6 yesterday. There it is, right off the coast, Brock. This could have been a massive tsunami. The concerns were everywhere. In San Antonio, Chile, everybody, Santiago, everybody was scared to death. This could have been something catastrophic, cataclysmic. And then look at this. Here come the aftershocks. 4.9, Chile. 5.8, Santa Cruz, Chile. 5.0, Indonesia. Okay, so all this was going on. 4.8, Australia today. All right, 4.2, Chile. 5.4, Chile. It's still shaking down there. Meanwhile, while the earthquakes were going on, and that's a lot to say grace over here. That's a lot to be concerned with. We were also, look at this. It shows you the scriptures are coming to pass right before your very eyes. The earthquakes in Chile, the earthquakes around the globe, shaking things up. The solar winds blowing off the sun, the asteroids racing by our heads. Indonesia had a major volcano today. Flight warnings are now in effect as Mount Kerinci erupted with a major volcano today. Another volcano today. So we had a volcano yesterday in Indonesia with a 6.6 quake in Vanuatu, and then there it is. That's the one today. And then yesterday we had a massive explosion, another volcano in Indonesia. This one, the Karangetang. What? Yes, there's that one. It erupted yesterday, and we had the earthquake. So again, volcano yesterday in Indonesia, earthquake 6.6. Volcano, yes, today in Indonesia, earthquake 6.8, and solar winds are hitting, black moons are pulling on the earth, nebulas, this neutron star, gamma rays crash into the earth, 5 waves of energy. We're going to be asking Mike Around the World. And oh, by the way, the sea, the waves are roaring, just like the Bible said. Hurricane Eric has strengthened slightly as it approaches the Big Island. Hurricane Eric strengthened slightly this morning as it approaches Hawaii. Look at this, double whammy. Eric is big. It's a category 4, and Flossie is smaller at a category 1, both headed toward the Hawaiian Islands. But now Eric is going to miss. It's going to go just south, but still going to cause a lot of rain and mudslides, landslides, that kind of stuff. But Flossie is still on track to go right toward the Big Island. So a 1-2 Hawaiian punch, okay? No pun intended there, but this is a 1-2 Hawaiian punch. Eric and Flossie, the sea and the waves are roaring. And of course, with Iran and the issues going on with the wars, the rumors of wars and the things that are happening there, well, it's just like Jesus said, there'll be signs in the sun, the moon, and the stars, Brock. Distress of the nations with perplexity. The sea and the waves are roaring, just like it's happening, and men's hearts failing them for fear, looking after those things that are coming upon the earth, for the powers of heaven are shaking. Okay, and what's happening? The heavens are shaking. The earth is quaking. And matter of fact, we've even had an Brock, tell them how they can get the blood moons. Tell them how they get the blood moons. They need to know that these signs are in the heavens. You can get this DVD right now. Order it now. Right now. A brand new DVD, Blood Moons and Prophetic Signs. We're taking a very close look at the historical, biblical, and prophetic signs in the Bible, from the solar eclipses to the blood moons to the midnight hour of these the last days. What does the heavens mean by shaking, the earthquakes, and other events going on? Get this DVD. Get it now at my website. All right, guys, get those ordered. So get the Heavens Are Shaking, that 4 DVD from the Cincinnati Conference. Get the Blood Moons ordered tonight if you haven't got those. Let me tell you one more thing before Mike comes on the air with us. We had an explosion of a pipeline in Kentucky. This doesn't make sense. Just exploded for no reason. 1 person's dead, 5 people are injured as a gas pipeline just erupted in central Kentucky. Look at this. It looks, are you serious? Almost like a nuke going off. Just craziness. Gas pipeline under the ground erupting with an explosion and just rocking the community early. And you could see the fire that then was raging. 1 dead, 5 injured in this horrific event. And you know what's really strange about this? Is yesterday we had a oil refinery, ExxonMobil oil refinery explosion for no reason down in Texas. 37 people injured in that explosion. And my question to Mike around the world, because he told us in the last days we would see these plants, chemical plants and stuff like that exploding. I'm wondering, is the 5 waves of energy, there you see that. That's yesterday. So it's almost like yesterday you have an earthquake, a volcano, and a Texas explosion. Today you have an earthquake, a volcano, and a Kentucky pipeline explosion. 2 major quakes, 2 major explosions, 2 major volcanoes, and 2 major hurricanes headed for Hawaii. Can somebody help me understand what is going on? I realize there was a black moon. I understand there's gamma rays, and I understand that. But is this all just prophecy? I mean, are we just dealing with prophecy here? Mike from around the world. We're looking for Mike right now. As soon as he calls, I want to welcome all 2,700 of you that have joined us tonight. Unbelievable that you're here, since YouTube doesn't give anybody any notification. It's just incredible that anybody even knows to show up here or where even to show up at. And yet we still have faithful viewers and listeners and supporters of this ministry. It is incredible. Thank you. Everybody hit the like button right now. There's 2,700 of you. Everybody go hit the like button. Drive the algorithms up. We're waiting for the phone to ring any moment with Mike from around the world. We've got to find out what's going on. What's causing all of this chaos, all of this carnage, all of this craziness, all of this complicated, catastrophic, cataclysmic, cosmic turbulence that's causing the heavens to shake, the earth to quake, my mind to ache. Here he is, Mike from around the world. Mike, welcome to the broadcast. Are you there, my brother?
God bless you, Pastor Paul. Yes, I am here.
Oh, it is great to have you with us today. Mike, it is crazy. What's going on? You said this was going to happen. What's going on, Mike?
Well, yeah, it seems to be an escalation of some particle interaction, I would say.
Particle interaction. Explain that.
Oh, yeah. Pastor Paul, at COT, there's a tank that was constructed. And what it is a tank that's minus 22 degrees, and it shows particles traveling through the air. In this tank, they appear. And I'm working on now because it shows active particles, particle count coming through our atmosphere. Well, as these, like this globular cluster, which contained that neutron star that exploded a long time ago, that particle count went up. We also had on the East Coast, probably from about, I'm going to do an estimation, from Quebec down to Alabama, there was a slight nick on the atmosphere for about 10 minutes, which allowed pure charged particles to come down to the earth. So anybody that was out there Sunday and Monday, it only lasted about 10 seconds. It happened at around 10 to 10:15 a.m. on Sunday Eastern Standard Time. So if anybody was out there, the sun, when it hit their skin, even when the sun didn't hit their skin, many people probably felt the pricklies, some pretty bad pricklies on their skin. That was due to, let's just say, a more than direct exposure to charged particles. Now, when this thing went off, when it nicked the atmosphere of the Earth, it took... let's just say it separated some of the filtration, the natural filtration of the atmosphere from, filtering out solar particles and everything else. So I'm curious to see how many people felt those pricklies on Sunday and Monday. It actually happened. It was about a 5-time event that happened throughout those 2 days. 10 seconds at a time.
Mike,
there was massive turbulence up there.
Well, what caused this? What you call what do you call it? Hit the earth?
Those particles, charged particles and protons increased. In the tank, you can actually see the particles increasing in the tank. They were shooting by all over the place. Normally, you get about 1 to 2 particles every 3 seconds. In this case, there were about 5 to 6 particles every second. So it was a severe increase in this tank. So if you went outside during that period, a person would have had direct exposure to charged particles. It's almost comparable to somebody, if you've ever been affected by microwaves where you really begin to heat up from the inside out. That's what it felt like. And then on the surface of your skin, it felt like it was bubbling. Of course, it was not bubbling, but it was more than severe prickly feeling on your skin. Now, we get that from time to time with our sun, but our sun was supercharged over the course of between Sunday through Monday, and then with these incoming charged particles from this explosion that they were tracking, it did affect our atmosphere, opening up a small hole, and it affected the East Coast more than it did any other place that I'm aware of on the Earth.
So the Bible says that the sun will be affected, and it will burn men. The Bible says it will cause men to scorch men, and they will gnaw their tongues for pain. Is it because the sun is going to be affected by these waves of energy that we're talking about? You got two different things going here now. You got this nebula neutron star explosion from 1054 AD that is hitting us right now. That's different from the other 5 waves of energy from Planet X, Nibiru, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. In fact, I believe it's this coming week. There's going to be another pulse, not from the 5 waves, but from some more explosions that took place on Earth, and it's just not good. Let me give you an example. A magnetar, right? They're already tracking another magnetar burst that will hit us in 2020. right? Magnetar bursts can actually do some bad damage. And all of your, if you have anybody out there that understands celestial mechanics here, astronomers on the professional side, they have a deep respect of magnetars. They also have a great fear because they understand that a magnetar can deplete our atmosphere in about 2 seconds as soon as it hits. Now, our atmosphere can rebuild, but over the years, by sending probes to Mars, they are suggesting that it was a magnetar that took the atmosphere away from Mars, and it can actually do that to the Earth. If that were to happen right now with no explosions, with just the sun, Pastor Paul, if pieces of our atmosphere were missing right now through, let's just say, something small, something minuscule, it could potentially kill tens of millions of people. Almost instantly, they would burn, right? Because the atmosphere is a filter.
Folks,
and without that filter, there's no way we can, be out there in active sun rays like that. We would be cooked within minutes.
here it is, Mike. It's in Revelation 16, verse 8. The fourth angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and power was given unto him to scorch men with fire, and men were scorched with great heat, and blasphemed the name of God, which hath power over the plagues, and they repented not to give him the glory. So this is part of the end times, isn't it? What the heavens are shaking and the effects on the earth, these gamma rays, these ultraviolet rays, these cosmic rays, this radiation, charged particles, it's coming at us from every different direction, isn't it? Mike, you still with us?
I think I lost you.
Oh, okay, we're there. Yeah, we got you there?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. It's coming. So in other words, I just read the scripture there in Revelation 16, but all of these rays are coming at us from every different direction, whether it be the 5 waves of energy. And can you give us an update? We're being hit by the gamma rays, and we're being hit by the, right now there's the gaping holes on the sun's atmosphere, which means we're getting hit with these cosmic rays of, these solar rays are about 482 kilometers per second right now. There's nothing blocking it from the surface of the sun. Thank God we got a little bit of support here with our magnetosphere, but it's been weakened. So, Mike, what does this all mean? Is the core of the earth just going to continue to melt and burn up? Is there more waves of energy coming?
Oh, yeah, it's expanding. And as I said before, this is we have a severe buildup of the waves. This is a cumulative effect. So it's going to continue to build. Now, I can tell you at some point, all of us are going through a transition, whether we are ready for it or not. I just certainly hope people are mentally ready for it, and I spend a lot of time doing my best getting people mentally prepared for this, because it is going to be a transition 100%. Nobody has to. People are going to experience this. It doesn't matter if they accept it now or not. They're going to have to live through this. They're not going, if they're here today, they're going to live through it, because it's going to happen fairly quickly. And what I mean by that is, take, for example, these volcanoes. There's just simply not enough erupting, and we don't have enough to offset some of the magnitude of the energetic particles contained within the Earth. We do not have enough volcanic eruptions to compensate or to relieve that pressure. So we have a heating effect taking place inside the Earth. This radiation is not stopping. It's pouring in all the time now. Next year, I wouldn't be surprised if they printed the reports that the skin cancer rates have gone skyrocketed. Cancer-related infant deaths is also going to be a big issue next year.
What?
So hopefully they begin to tackle this. Yeah, because what they're not, I know that people, there was a time about a couple of years ago, everybody went out and bought these radiation detectors, right? Now, if an engineer is out there anywhere and they know how to build a radiation detector, you know that calibration is an important part of it. And if you take apart some of these commercial radiation detectors, you know that they're calibrated up a few rads. So then the reading looks normal, but in fact, everything is increased, right? Which is why you have farmers out there right now. If anybody out there has their own farm, you know that your your plants are suffering in the sun. You literally, people are literally going to have to do something about the sun, because whether they're in a controlled environment, if the sun rays are hitting them, it's going to affect the foliage. It's going to affect the plant life. These effects will continue. They're going to continue. They're not going away. They're going to continue. They're going to increase. These pulses from the wave that are coming in, the Earth is just sucking them up big time. Right? It's causing effects all over the solar system. One of our problems is we're just simply not having enough relief points over the surface of the Earth. So then we have a problem with interior heating, which will become a big problem. Interior heating will begin to displace water very soon. I suspect that this year, water displacement this year, not next year, but this year. I suspect that will begin, meaning you'll have a lot of water depth fluctuations all around the Earth, because the Earth is kind of like a big blob of jello. It's not as solid as people think. It's always on the move. And when you heat things up from the inside out, you build up a lot of pressure. And there are also oceans. There are large amounts of water inside of the Earth. They're inside the Earth in several different places. And as this magma continues to go outward because it's heating up, it will eventually crack the seal of some of these interior oceans, superheating the water. That too will begin to escape. So you'll have these heat vents that open up, right? Stuff spraying out. It'll be kind of like some of the volcanoes that have these water spouts in there, not like Yellowstone, but you'll see these in places where they shouldn't be, right? So just imagine in Ohio, maybe you have one of those in Ohio, maybe you have one in Indonesia, of course, which is highly active. But what I'm saying is that the Earth, through this expansion event, because that's what we're having, is an expansion event. As the Earth continues to take in radiation, it is not getting rid of enough radiation. It used to be balanced, right? As much radiation as the Earth would consume, it would also output. It would put it out. It would just throw it away, take it out. But it's taken in too much now. And there's not enough ejection of charged particles, or the usage of those charged particles, or change in, that charge period to get rid of it. So the Earth is increasing its gamma ray output by itself.
So Mike, are you saying that we're getting hit so much with radiation and these charged particles and gamma rays and all this, so the Earth's core is heating up, the Earth is kind of breaking apart, there's more fissures opening, there's more volcanoes going to be spewing, there's more steam going to be released, there's more moisture going to be floating around, but at the same time, none of it is enough to relieve the pressure from what's coming at us. And so the Earth, is that right?
That's right. It's like overcharging a battery. If you overcharge a battery, it's going to heat up, and then it goes critical. All batteries have a point to where they go critical before they break down. In this case, it'll be much like a lithium battery. Once it goes critical, you can't stop the reaction. And so this is a buildup. You can see it very easily. If a person went just back a year to look at the volcanoes and look at the earthquakes, you're going to see a steady increase every year for the last 15 years. You're also going to see that trend is really starting to go up. Also, you're having infrastructure problems inside the Earth. And this is a big deal because the ground is heating up, and there are sensors down there that have to cool some of these pipes. You have very expensive units down there that will cool certain gases and pipes and things of that nature down inside the Earth. Well, if the exterior pressure and the exterior temperatures begin to change, then the predetermined formulas for those devices inside the Earth won't work anymore. They'll be overwhelmed. And
is that why, Mike, that we had the Texas oil refinery yesterday exploded, 37 people injured? Today we have pipes deep in the heart of central Kentucky exploding, a massive eruption, killing 1, injuring 5. And I mean, Mike, we also had a black moon, with a lot of heavy gravitational pull. So is that what you're saying, is the heat, but it's more about the heating of the core that's going to start causing our infrastructures within our cities? Are you saying like gas pipes and stuff is going to start erupting?
Oh, yeah. And we're riddled with gas pipes. And heating it up is not enough of an effect. But microwaves, if the Earth begins to emit, because once it gets overwhelmed, the Earth itself will begin to emit charged particles, right? So while the Earth protects us from charged particles inbound through the magnetosphere, there is no protection if the Earth itself from the inside emits charged particles. And this is going to cause some problems because it's building up and it's leaking out. If you look at certain reports now, some of the trending of gamma rays, it's a good tracker to see how much the Earth is emitting. Gamma ray release, that gamma ray release inside of the Earth is increasing. The Earth is outputting a lot more gamma rays than usual. In this case, what's going to cause most of the infrastructure damage is microwaves, right? And because the Earth is capable of emitting microwaves very easily, it's just that everything has been balanced, and the microwaves didn't penetrate to a certain level yet. But as that increase of charged particles inside of the Earth, as the Earth continues to charge, it's going to discharge more and more. So eventually, some of the shorter wavelengths and some of the weaker waves that are emitted from inside the Earth will reach higher and higher, which means it's going to come up to us. Now, if those microwaves and infrared and all these different wavelength things that can hurt us, right? All these different particles that can hurt us, if they begin to touch near the surface, all of us are going to feel the effects. All of us will. And at this point, that's the trending. That's what's happening because it's rising at about, I'd say about 400 to 500 feet per year, start to emit more and more of a bigger radius. So
now, Mike, there's some people wondering about the 5 waves of energy that, I mean, we know we're under pressure. We've been under it. You told us to watch out. This is still like wave 3. Where do you see the next few months? Do you see as we go into this fall, into the winter, what effects from just the 5 waves of energy maybe, or is it a combination of things, are you anticipating that we're going to experience here on the Earth?
Well, November will be a peak in wave activity. So one of the bigger pulses, one of the sharper increases in those pulses is going to be here in November. I can't really narrow down the date within the month of November, but it will be in November. That will be a sharp increase from the radiation that we have inbound today. Now, it's so funny. It is so funny. We get used to conditions so extremely quickly. You know, we just get used to things. For example, 15 years ago, nobody tracked earthquakes on a large scale like we do today.
Right.
So I remember 15 years ago that there was a cluster reported of earthquakes, and it kind of startled everybody because they didn't really experience that. A few months went by, and then all of a sudden they reported that again, right? And then, of course, these things became normal, right? Also, the weather phenomena began to change around that same time. What has happened is the conditions have been getting worse, but we are so conditioned to hearing about superstorms and super cumulonimbus clouds and super formations and tornado outbreaks at the wrong time of the year, and different plants and trees and everything budding at the wrong time, animal die-offs, and we're so used to that stuff that somehow we have numbed our minds to it. We can't see that it's steadily progressing. It never stopped. It has increased. Right? Nothing has stopped. And as this energy keeps coming in, it's hitting the entire solar system, we have degrading conditions all over the place. All over the place. Now, again, biologically is the sad part. Biologically, it's affecting people right now. I know that is very hard to anticipate. It's kind of like a cold, right? Or a virus. You have a virus for at least 4, 5, 6 days before the symptoms occur, which means you've already been affected. Your body's already been compromised. And then the symptoms occur. And then you say, oh, I've got a virus. Well, the truth is you had that virus long before that. We face that same scenario today. We're not in good shape. And when the infrastructure begins to fail, and it causes people a bit of discomfort, like electrical power grids, not by an EMP, but by simple, wear and tear on the wires, corrosion in places where it shouldn't be because radiation can't and corrode things. So we're going to have a breakdown of certain things, right, which increases maintenance costs and everything else. Not to mention these charged particles. When these pulses continue to come through, these things can penetrate the nuclei of cells. It can actually damage the DNA, which causes a cancer increase. And we've been having cancer increases that could be linked, or I'd say they are linked. A lot of people said they're linked to microwaves, yes, but not from the sources you think. People think, a lot of people, they had these reports saying that cancer was being caused by Wi-Fi, this, that, and the other. We'll come to find out, because all the data has been received. It's been caused by space, not by Wi-Fi, right, but by space. We've had a steady increase in charged particles coming into our solar system.
Now, it sounds like you're onto something here. I'm going to ask you about the Tibetan space equipment. People want to know about that. But before I do, we've been told, Al Gore and a lot of scientific mumbo jumbo. I'm not saying it's not real, that there isn't some man-made effects to the planet. I think there is some. But everything that you've been saying is, we've been told that the reason for global warming or for huge climate change is strictly man-made and carbon footprint and all that. And now you've just said that we've been told the reason for increases in a lot of cancers and stuff is, again, we're blaming ourselves for 5G or for all kinds of radio waves. But you're saying, really, what you're saying is all of this really is coming from the inundation of the charged particles and the waves of energy? I mean, is that what's really affecting the planet?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you why. Everybody can get data coming back from Mars. Why is Mars having the exact same problems that we have? Why is the carbon footprint in Mars? Nobody's there on Mars. Why is it increasing? Right? How can carbon increase on Mars and nobody's supposed to be there? Also, Pastor Paul, when a volcano erupts, when Mount St. Helens erupted, do you not know that it put out a carbon footprint that was comparable to 25 years of us living on this earth right now? So take 25 years of our living right now. Mount St. Helens put that out in one day.
Wow. So what you're saying, Mike, is it's all a bunch of garbage. This whole man-made green ideal mentality is a religion of earth worship. This whole thing about man's doing this and carbon footprints and we need to start eating grub worms. Well, what's causing the moon and Mars and the other planets to be blowing up explosions and high radiations? And why is the sun? There's nobody on the sun. There's no cow farts on the sun. The Bible, Mike, the Bible told us that the earth is going to melt with fervent heat, 2 Peter 3. It's because of man, the sin of mankind, God's final judgment's coming. But you know what? He's using these effects of the universe to bring it about, is really what you're saying. It's in the Bible, Mike. It's Isaiah 24. It's in the Bible.
Yeah, it's his creation. It's his creation. Pastor Paul, if people would really look beyond the propaganda, they would begin to see the simplicity of the truth. Take your volcanoes, for example. In one day, they can do what man does in 25 years. Take space, for example. The other planets are heating up just like we are. Venus, it went up another 800 degrees.
What?
So when you begin to find out facts like that, it just kind of, but they did this. Global warming, this entire idea was caused by a magnetar in 2004. In 2004, that's when it took place. They had the emergency meetings because of the magnetar, because a piece of the Earth's atmosphere was knocked off. Right after 2004, everybody began to hear of coronal holes, and they also began to hear of our ozone. That was a topic, right? Ozone.
Yes.
So what they did was they took the data from the magnetar and what happened to the Earth, and they began to have meetings. The UN called an emergency meeting because of the magnetar. Why? Because 7 other magnetars were detected during the same time, but they're much further away, which means they're on the way too. They don't know if they're going to hit us or not, but they have to prepare for that impact. Just like this nebula, when they found that this neutron star just now hit us, but it exploded a long time ago.
1,000 years ago.
It took a long time to get here. So take this, for example. If they know what it will do to the atmosphere, and they found out 2004. They would begin to prepare in 2004 for the next one that comes in that will certainly do some damage. And if people just simply go back, they'll see that this magnetar was the discussion, and that's when the language came out for global warming. It's just that people began to they began to use it as propaganda, money-making machine. It fell apart. It's not working, right? And people are confused. One thing's for sure, all of us are going to see what the effects are pretty soon.
All right, I got something for you, Mike. You said all of us are going to feel the effects of this or see the effects very soon. Now, AOC, and I'm not throwing off on anybody, okay? And this isn't about a political, I'm not going political at all here, folks. I'm just asking a question. But AOC and Beto, both Beto, of course, running for president, are saying the world's going to end in 12 years. Or that the world's going to be in serious condition 12 years from now. Are they talking about what you're talking about? Do they know that something's coming and they're trying to blame it all on humanity and the carbon footprint? But is reality, are we going to experience something in 12 years?
Oh, yeah. We're you know what, within 2 years, we'll experience quite a bit. What they're doing is, if they know what's going on, right? It's a known fact. It's not easy, or it's not hard to deduce, but you just simply can't outright tell the public anything like this. Here's why. Suppose it takes 5 years for a calamity to hit, right? This is day one, but 5 years from now, say it was 100% certain that a calamity would strike and that hardly anybody would survive it. If that were the case, why would you tell anybody right now today? Because people's lives would end early. The social structure of everything would break down. We would kill ourselves before that event ever took place, is what would happen. This earth would be miserable. And so because of this, and because of certain scenarios that have been played out, they have determined that they will not tell the public a thing for the sake of the public. Remember, they have a king's mentality, which means the people who are not high-class individuals, the people must be looked after. That was initialized by Napoleon, right? My definition of a republic is not like what they theorized. When a republic was instituted, they took the words from Napoleon, right? And they utilized some sayings of Napoleon with the ideology that the people are not able to take care of themselves. So it takes someone with a dominant attitude to help them out, to be their friend and help them out. It's not actually ruling over them, so to speak, but it is to help them. In other words, make decisions for them, right? To make a house for them, to give them the rules, and to have them live in the house, arrange it how they want. So that was Napoleon's republic, and that's what they believe. That's just simply what they believe. And these are your high class individuals.
What's socialism?
And that's the way the world is going to run.
Well, that's the socialism with communism, which ultimately, according to the Bible, is going to become the beast kingdom in Revelation 13. So you're saying that Napoleon really started to set the bar. He was sort of an Antichrist kind of character. I mean, and Hitler kind of was another Antichrist type character who also said, this is the rules and the Jews don't fit and that kind of thing. I mean, the beast says that Christ and Christians don't fit. Jews won't fit. I mean, you're right that they're setting the bar, they're setting the rules, but God's in control. Can you tell us about the Tibetan space? I don't know if it's observatory or instruments or what they got up there, space equipment. Do you know what's going on in Tibet?
Well, wait a minute. Isn't it funny how nobody ever discussed this, right? I'm smiling right now because it's funny to me. Okay. Nobody discussed this. You don't develop equipment like that overnight. That takes years of research. That takes years. So the real question is, what have they been doing for the last 25 years?
Right.
You know, you can't develop that stuff overnight. Somebody didn't ship that over there, set it up, and then announce it to the world. They've been working on this for years. You have to have individuals who know exactly what they're doing. So the funny part to me is because when scripture comes to pass, right, it just gives me confidence. I know most folks look at this, the things that are coming, they're going to be really bad. I know it makes them nervous, right? Not me, because I know exactly who the Father is.
Amen.
Right? I know who Christ is.
Amen.
Right? I know what happened. We all know what happened to Elijah. Elijah prayed, and he said, I pray thee, Lord, open his eyes that he may see. And the Lord opened the eyes of the young man. He saw what? And behold, the mountains were full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elijah. So that was 2 Kings 6:17. And he knew, at that point, that young man said, oh, I got nothing to worry about. Right? I have nothing to worry about. So being a believer, we're always surrounded like that. What's coming is in a twofold degree. Because how many of us would wake up without an alarm clock? We wouldn't. So we have an alarm clock, and it startles us sometimes, right? It startles us, but it doesn't kill us.
Still necessary. It's still necessary.
That's right. And it's for purpose. And the Lord is sending, he's allowing this, no matter what the beast does, right? Because the Lord is going to give the beast room to do that for his purpose. Right. So no matter what happens with him, with that structure, the system, or anything else, he's going to wake up his children with this. See, it's going to cause us to let loose of things that interfere with our minds. And everybody's had one of those times where they said, I wish I would have let this go a long time ago because it was keeping me in bondage. Well, guess what? The Lord's going to help us out. Now, for those who stood against him, for those who hate him, they're the ones that are going to be scared.
That's right. And they better be.
We may be frightened for a moment because it's going to be something very different. But we need not worry. There's something called the Holy Spirit, right? Poured out on all flesh, not some flesh. And we'll be comforted in that way, and we'll wake up and learn. But we're certainly going to have to see it. That wakes us up. That gets us out of corruption. Well, easily, some people who can't break their addiction habits right now, Pastor Paul, when that time comes, when the conditions are so bad, you know what they'll say? Forget it. I don't care if I have withdrawal symptoms. Forget it. That's what they'll say. They'll have enough strength within themselves by way of conditions. One last thing. If you do a study on those who go to jail, right, they have bad addictions outside of the prison. But when they get inside the prison, because conditions are so different, they actually get off of the things that they were on.
Right.
They actually get off. They're free, and they start thanking God that they're free of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because the conditions have changed, and we're about to go through the same thing. In Tibet, these guys are. Tibet is almost like a multinational, secretive type organization thing, I guess you could think of. But believe me, it's all coordinated because they need all hands on deck to make sure that the timing is right. For the sake of quite a few folks, they, unbeknown to most, they don't want to kill everybody, right? They don't want to do that. They have too many kinfolk that they have to slowly wake up themselves, so they don't want to kill everybody. What they're going to do, however, is save face. Is what they're going to do. They need to remain in control in the minds of all of us. They have to remain in control. So if you listen carefully to how they speak, based upon anything that happens in the world, they're always going to put themselves in a position where we look up to them.
Yeah.
Right. So if it means making fools of us for a time, even if we're 100% right and they're 100% wrong, they're going to do it in their minds. They'll do it for the better of the people.
Mike, can I ask you a question? The global elitists know exactly what's coming. Okay, and so is this survival of trying to survive the coming apocalypse, the coming of Christ? The Bible says that Satan knows his time is short, which means Satan believes Bible prophecy. He reads it.
Yes.
But for some reason in the church world, we've decided we no longer need Bible prophecy, which is kind of a really dumb thing to start doing, but we're doing it. My question is this. Are the global elitists fighting for every drop of oil, for every ounce of energy to somehow they're going to need it to survive the waves of energy or the cataclysmic events that's going to happen to the planet? Is this part of the military pushing and shoving and strategic fighting for resources?
Well, now that you mention it, right, oil is part of the national security folder. In other words, petroleum itself is one of the keystone elements in any nation these days.
Right.
It is priority number one. And the reason why is a fail-safe. It's what it is. Plastics are made from that, right? Not only do you extract oil, but there are a lot of things that are made from oil, right? Lots of things.
Right.
And so what they're going to do is what they have been doing is they have strategically placed oil in several different locations and positions, and they have to control it all. They have to secure it all, right? They feed us oils, the populace. They feed the populace oil, but they themselves, they have absolute control over that oil, and they wouldn't mind having control of everybody else's oil. Now, in truth, the U.S. right now controls most of the oil on the earth right now, even today, right now. That's why we have these nations subdued, right? Now,
Yes.
when you're speaking of war, we have a problem, though, this year. The paradigm is shifting. We had control over the oil because sometimes you can intimidate folks without going to war. You can have a little show of force and intimidate, and you can take over certain lands by way of management. Well, we're losing our management skills. Right. I think in large part the Republicans have been trying to fight this loss of management, because what the Democrats have been doing, and I don't get into Democrat-Republican arguments and all that, but what they have been doing is that because they believe in diplomacy, right, they also, they do it too. When they discuss things, they do two things. They set up a decoy, but they actually try to reason with the other guy, giving the other guy the benefit of the doubt. Should that person try to defraud them, right, then they have set up a decoy where they can slip the other person, slip things right out from under them. But they have a naive approach, which means they're assuming people can be reasoned with. Unfortunately, in this day and age, faith is becoming the number one match of all fires. Faith is. And you cannot combat somebody's faith. You're not going to win over somebody's faith. They won't die for their faith, right? And unfortunately, because they're not believers, they don't understand. A lot of them, not some of them do, but a lot of them don't really understand how deep of a heartstring faith, it goes very deep. It is the core and the soul of an individual. They don't quite understand that yet because they're not there. Right? And so what they think they can do is manipulate or to reason with an individual to get him to change his faith a little for the sake of the better of every. No, that's wrong. That's just like, I can speak for me, like the mark and all these things go. Right now, I know people say, I'm not going to take the mark. Well, I'll tell you this right now, Pastor Paul, I will not compromise right now in this world for the smallest things in this world. I will broke and starve to death before I compromise my faith for anything in this world right now. But these folks of faith have that same mentality, and you cannot change a person's mind like that. Once they're devoted, you're not going to change it. And politics is not enough to overpower faith. And they're going to find that out painfully, because every single nation right now, have you noticed they have turned their backs on the U.S.? They're doing something against the U.S.
Oh, yeah.
The Republicans are aware of this. That's why they don't trust them. Right? I know everybody wants peace and all this and the other, but the Bible says through peace, he shall destroy many, naming that active spirit of the beast. Through peace, well, peace in this day and age means compromise, right? So through compromise, they're destroying many things, many of the values that we had, and the world does not work when it's immoral.
Folks, we got Mike, what you've just quoted was the scripture here found in Daniel chapter 8, folks. It says, and this really is speaking about this beast kingdom that's coming and the Antichrist. It says in Daniel 8:23, and in the latter time of the kingdom, when the transgressors are come to full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. He shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. And so this is the flattery, this is the promise that we cannot be kept by the beast, by the Antichrist, who will try to bring the world peace and tranquility and hope, and they will fall for it. And like you said, Mike, I'm not going to take them. I can tell you right now, I'm not going to take the mark of the beast. I promise you. I gave my life to Jesus Christ a long time ago, and we're willing to suffer with everything that goes along with that, going to go all the way. But there are people, Mike, and you know and I do, that live in fear. They don't live in faith. They don't walk in faith. They walk in fear. And so fear is easy to manipulate. People who do not have themselves rooted and grounded in Christ Jesus are afraid And so when the beast offers them a way of hope, they will fall for it because they have no substance of Christ. We're living on the inside. They're not, they're going to be easily persuaded and easily deceived, and that's that strong delusion. And you see this coming, Mike. You see this working right now in the world, don't you?
Yeah, I see small bits. Sometimes people can become so oppressed and tired of their own life. They'll just lift up their hands and they'll say, if anybody's out there, help me. Yeah. And then that's going to be a problem, right? Yeah. And a Christian should always remember, Jesus is never separate from you. Never, ever is he separate. And he's never lost control. Nothing is out of control, but these times are coming, right? Where people get desperate.
Mike, we're running out of time. You brought up this, in 2 years we're going to know. People are screaming. The chat rooms are going nuts. What do you mean in 2 years we're going to be really, instead of 12 years, Beto's saying we got 12 years. What do you mean 2 years?
Well, the buildup is too much, Pastor Paul. And you know what? Because of two of the other pulses that I know of for a fact, they're going to be here within that 2 year time frame. The buildup will be too strong. It'll be too strong. And just so everybody knows, if there's a consensus in the public about some thing that will happen years out, you might not want to listen to that. Be prepared today. Don't listen to them, and because they don't want you to follow them into their places of safety. You've got to be ready today. If you're not ready today, you're not ready. You're just not ready. So you have to think in that mentality. You have to be ready today. And Pastor Paul, one of the most important parts is this, because it's going to be painful. A lot of people go through this now. We may be ready as Christians, right? But your family's not. They're gonna, when this time comes, because they're not listening to you. Now, Pastor Paul, you're blessed. Your family's listening to you. But some people out there, they have family members that will not hear a word they have to say because they think they're loony.
Yeah,
right? But the Lord put something in them. He put a flame in them, and they can't let prophecy go. They can't do it. No. But their families right now are giving them grief. I give you guys some advice. Stay in there. Hang on. Don't worry about how much they don't hear you. You just keep doing the right thing. Be a good example, because the time is coming when they'll come find you. Now, they're not going to find somebody normal. They're going to say, where's that niece of mine that was always talking about stuff happening wrong? It's going wrong, because they're not going to be able to take it. And fear is why they don't want to hear anything about Revelation, because it disrupts their world, right? But I've noticed that the real Christians, the real believers, fear is falling away. Fear is falling off of them left and right, because the Lord put us through situations time after time to He fortified us internally for these times to come, and He continues to do so, because these times will be heavy. And I'm not going to give it a whole bunch of years. I know there are going to be breakdowns this year, and that will continue through next year. And we're going to be involved in some wars, right? Some real conflicts. All these things coming about is going to cause great confusion. If we can stay anchored in Christ, we won't be moved. And that is the key, to trust in the Lord. And that's something something all of us can work on a daily basis, to ensure that we actually trust Him, that we're not deceiving ourselves, but that we trust Him. That we, trust is going to be, that's going to be everything in the time to come.
Mike, do you see a Middle East war coming?
Yes. Actually, I see it. I see the conflict happening now. Wars always start through a lot of communications that go wrong. And so, in the cyber, remember one time I said World War III will begin with a cyber war.
Yeah.
And it will cause some issues. And right now, we had a couple more electrical grids compromised. We have folks that are operatives inside the U.S. that are being paid. These kids today, because they've been deeply entrained in video games and making money and getting what they want. You have Middle Eastern folks contacting these kids under the guise of being a friend online playing a game, right?
Yep.
And they're teaching them how to hack things. They're teaching them little things to get to the infrastructure in the U.S. They're using our children, right, against us. It's what's happening. And they're paying real money to them. So naturally, a kid is going to say, hey, if you give me $1,000, I can pay this. Of course, I can do this little bit of work for you.
Mike, are there YouTube personalities out there being paid to come against Israel?
Yes.
Are they being paid to come against Israel And are they being paid to come against or to divide the church against Israel?
Yes. Yes. Listen, the last thing they want is for our hearts to see the truth about Israel. See, they want us to see the propaganda. They want us to hear the news stories. They want us to hear about certain individuals that cause issues and problems. They don't want our hearts being towards Israel, because if they can keep our hearts away from Israel, they know what God will do to us. If Israel and that land is not in the heart of an individual, right? And the Lord never abandoned his people. They are still the apple of his eye, and so are you. But he never abandoned that land. Yeah. If our hearts can turn against it, then we fulfill the prophecy of those who stand against the Lord during a time when we don't need to. That time is coming close. So the harder they work to turn us against certain things in Israel, right? Then we know the time is coming closer and closer. That's why they're doing it in the first place, because they're following prophecy. Yeah. And they're not, these guys, they're not making mistakes in prophecy. They're just like Satan. Satan knows when his time was short. God never said Satan did not know the seasons. Satan does know the seasons, and those who operate with Satan also know the seasons. So they have their little counter activities they're going to do against the saints.
Mike, what we're seeing, and it's very sad and it's very disturbing, is it's happened all of a sudden, like a light switch went off. But there's several prominent individuals that are bashing Israel on a daily basis and pushing an anti-Semitic message. And I'm saying, what is going on? What is this weird thing happening? And the Lord then revealed it to me in the Word. He said, this is exactly what's going to happen in the last days. And Paul, you have to keep teaching the people to love the Lord, love Jesus Christ. And the covenant with Abraham is an everlasting covenant. And yeah, and you, Mike, you know that, and I know that, and there's a lot of guys I know who know that and are doing the right thing. But this is a wave, and this is part of that end of the world beast confusion, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But I tell you what, if it's in the heart of a Christian, right? If the Lord is in the spirit in the heart of a Christian, right? They're not going to turn against Israel.
No.
They're not going to fall for those tricks. No. And if we stay the course, somebody is watching us, and it's going to encourage them to stay the course. So no matter what the opposition is, no matter how cruel it can look, if we can stay the course, Pastor Paul, our actions in following the Lord is going to preach louder than we can by the mouth.
And that's all I'm going to do, just keep doing the right thing and let the others, whatever. I don't know what's going on out there. I'm just going to keep doing what the Word says. Mike, amen. Thank you, brother. Hey, Mike, can you come back next Thursday night? I don't know what your schedule's like, but I'm going to be traveling soon. I want to get you back next Thursday. Is it possible? On August 8th.
I can be here.
All right, folks. 10 p.m. next Thursday night. Mike will join us. Mike, thank you so much. Great show tonight. 4,000 people are here. Mike, thank you so much. God bless you, brother.
God bless you, Pastor.